Have you ever stopped in the middle of your day and asked yourself why you are still here, not just physically, not just breathing, but here, in this skin, in this mind? Among these thoughts that never rest, you look around. The world moves, people speak, they smile, they laugh, and yet you feel a hollowness that no one can touch. No one seems to notice. Maybe they never will. Why is it that after all this time, you are still waiting? Waiting for what? Approval, recognition, a sign, or perhaps something deeper, something you cannot even name. It is unsettling, isn't it? The quiet question that gnaws at the edges of your mind. When the room is empty, when the world is asleep, you cannot escape it. It follows you, like a shadow that grows longer each night, and perhaps you have tried to ignore it. Distract yourself with tasks, with noise, with people. You have told yourself that you are fine, that tomorrow will be different. But tomorrow never comes, does it? Not in the way you hoped, not in the way that matters. You feel it now, the weight of all the moments you were overlooked, all the times your voice was unheard, the silent betrayals by friends, by family, by yourself. It lingers in your chest, a cold, quiet stone, and you carry it because no one else will. Sometimes you ask yourself, is this all there is? Is this waiting, this slow erosion, the only path you have ever been given? And in the answer, because deep down, you know it. You feel both fear and recognition. You know that you are not the same person who began this journey. Something in you has shifted, and yet the shift is invisible, unseen. You may not admit it to anyone, but there are moments when the world seems to peel away, when the masks fall, when the applause, the words, the gestures fade into dust. And in that silence, you hear your own mind, not as a friend, not as a guide, but as a witness, relentless, unsparing. There is a part of you that wonders if this is punishment, if the universe in its quiet indifference has been testing you, shaping you in ways that hurt, and yet, in the hurt, teaching you something you cannot yet understand. And what is this something? Perhaps it is not a reward. Perhaps it is not even a lesson. Perhaps it is simply seeing yourself in the dark, without pretense, without hope, without fear. The raw self exposed, trembling, waiting. Do you feel it now? The subtle tightening in your chest, the unease that creeps into your spine. That is the presence of truth, not comforting, not kind, dangerous even, because it forces you to confront yourself, to confront the parts you have buried, the anger, the envy, the shame, the things you told yourself would vanish if you ignored them long enough. And they have not vanished. They have grown, quietly, patiently, watching, waiting. And so, you are forced to ask yourself again, why are you still here? What is it that has kept you moving through the darkness, even when every step felt pointless? Perhaps the answer is not in words. Perhaps it is in the weight of your own silence, in the tremor of your heartbeat, in the lingering gaze you give the mirror when no one else is watching. There is a strange kind of clarity in that question, a coldness, a sharp edge. It unsettles you because it does not lie, it does not flatter. It simply exists, and now it watches. So you sit, you breathe, you wait, and you feel the truth of it, that this persistent, uncomfortable awareness is the beginning, not of victory, not of comfort, not of relief, but of something deeper, something that you cannot yet name. And in that moment, you are awake. You have carried more than most could even imagine. Not just the small disappointments, not just the missed opportunities, the everyday weight, the polite "I'm fine." You handed to strangers the smiles that hid cracks deep inside your chest. Do you feel that? The quiet ache in your ribs, beneath the steady rhythm of your heart? That is the accumulation of being seen, but never truly known, of speaking and feeling unheard, of existing in the shadow of other people's expectations. You are tired, not the tired of sleep or fatigue, but the kind of tired that seeps into your bones, the kind that whispers in your mind at 2 a.m. No one notices. No one cares. You are alone. And you have been alone, haven't you? Even in rooms full of people, even when voices surround you, even when hands reach out. There is a solitude in you that cannot be filled, a silence in your chest that waits, patiently, for acknowledgement. You have hidden it, carefully, cleverly. You have built walls around yourself, not because you wanted to, but because the world taught you to survive that way, to keep your heart intact, to prevent the soft, dangerous truth from spilling into the hands of those who would not understand. And yet, it still spills, in moments you cannot control, in flashes of anger, in unexpected tears, in the sudden tightening of your throat when a word touches something too deep to name. You feel it, don't you? That undercurrent of everything you've suppressed, everything you've denied, everything you've feared might be your weakness. But what if it isn't weakness at all? What if the depth of your suffering, the endless quiet, battles, the nights spent wandering through thoughts that should not be touched, is the source of something darker, something raw, a power hidden in your pain, in the way you survive it, in the way you endure the unbearable? You are allowed to feel it, not to fix it, not to explain it, not to justify it to anyone, but simply to feel it, to sit with it, to let it be what it is, dangerous, heavy, undeniable. Look closely. Feel the subtle tremors that move beneath your skin when you acknowledge your own loneliness, the shadow of grief that stretches long and cold, yet refuses to leave, the anger that rises quietly when the world treats you as if your suffering is invisible. Do not try to quiet it. Do not attempt to rationalize it. Let it exist. Let it claim space inside you. And in this quiet recognition, perhaps you notice something else, a strange, unsettling truth. You are stronger than you have been told. Not the false kind of strength sold by those who speak of resilience in bright rooms, but the hidden, relentless strength of a mind that has survived what it should never have had to survive, of a heart that continues to beat even when it knows the world will not care. No one may notice it, no one may applaud it, no one may even understand it, and yet it is there, waiting, always waiting, quietly shaping who you are. You are seen, even if it is only by yourself, and perhaps that is enough. Not comfort, not salvation, not relief, but the awareness that your existence, your suffering, your silence, your hidden storms is real, undeniable, dangerous, powerful. Because power is never polite. Power never waits to be acknowledged. Power lives in the quiet corners, in the unspoken truths, in the emotions you have feared, denied, and hidden. And you carry it, so breathe. Sit with it, feel it, let it remind you of the depth of what you have endured, of the dark, inescapable truths you carry within. You are not broken, you are not weak, you are present. And that presence in itself is an act the world will never fully understand. There is a war inside you. You may not speak of it. You may not even recognize it fully. But it is there, gnawing quietly, endlessly, beneath the surface of your thoughts. One part of you longs to move forward, to reach for something you cannot name, to claim what you have always felt, deserved. And yet, another part, a darker, older part, whispers constantly, "You cannot. You are not allowed. You will fail again." Do you hear it? That whisper? The one that hisses when you are alone. The one that thrives in the pauses between your breaths. It is patient. It waits for you to slip, to doubt, to weaken, And you have learned, through years of listening to it, that it knows you better than you know yourself. It knows your fears, your shame, your regrets. It knows the small, fragile places where you pretend to be safe, and it presses against them softly, insistently, until you feel unsteady, and yet it is not entirely your enemy. No, there is something in this conflict, something necessary, something that refuses to let you rest too easily. You cannot escape it, cannot quiet it, cannot distract yourself from it forever. It exists because it is meant to. Because in this tension, in this constant gnawing opposition between what you desire and what you fear, you are alive, but alive in a way that is dangerous, because emotions, your emotions, are not gentle, they are not safe. The grief you carry, the anger, the jealousy, the bitterness, they are all currents of power, surging beneath the calm exterior you present to the world. And this internal war, it is fueled by them. It is the storm inside, the battlefield where you learn who you are, without pretense, without compromise. Do you feel it now? The unease, the tremor in your chest, the tension in your mind that refuses to be ignored. That is the mark of true inner conflict. It is not a mistake. It is not weakness. It is the necessary reckoning. And yet you are terrified because you know that if you surrender fully to this conflict, if you allow yourself to feel it without flinching, there is no turning back. The world you have built around safety, around small certainties, it will crumble. You will be exposed, vulnerable, uneasy. And the question remains, are you willing to confront it? But even as fear rises, so does another force, a quiet curiosity, a dangerous fascination. You feel drawn toward the shad, ours inside yourself, toward the parts you have hidden, toward the dark corners of your mind you have avoided for decades, because something knows that there is power here. That what you fear is not only a threat but a key, and so you dwell in this tension, between wanting and fearing, between hope and despair, between the part of you that aches to rise, and the part that wants to retreat into silence, where nothing can touch you. No one sees this war. No one understands it. You fight it alone. And perhaps that is how it must be, because the war is yours, and yours alone. It is not meant to be solved by advice, by comfort, by words of encouragement. It is meant to be endured, experienced, felt. And in enduring it, in leaning into it even slightly, something begins to shift, not visibly, not suddenly, but subtly, like the tide moving beneath the shore, unseen yet inevitable. You begin to recognize the parts of yourself that are both fragile and ferocious, that are broken, and yet strangely whole. You are neither victim nor hero. You are witness, observer, participant, and the war within, this relentless, invisible battle, is not a punishment. It is your proving ground. But do not mistake this for comfort. Do not soften the edges. Feel the tension. Feel the fear. Feel the dangerous, raw truth of yourself as it moves, pushes, and claws. It is necessary. It is alive. It is yours. And only by acknowledging it, only by staring into it without flinching, can you begin to understand the depth of what it means to finally be awake. And now, you feel it, not as thought, not as memory, not as abstract concept, but as weight, as pressure, as a quiet, relentless force that settles into your chest, into your ribs, into the hollow spaces beneath your skin. You may try to ignore it, try to organize it, control it, name it, but it cannot be tamed. It is not polite. It does not ask permission. It simply exists, and it fills every corner of your mind until nothing else matters. You have carried so much, the unspoken grief, the hidden shame, the quiet disappointment you thought you could endure alone. It piles, silently, patiently, until the small cracks you have built in your mind begin to widen. And in these moments, when no one is watching, you may feel it, the trembling beneath your calm, the tears you thought would never come, the shaking of your hands when you touch something fragile, your own reflection, an old photograph, the memory of words that should never have been said. There is a strange, almost sacred horror in this, the horror of realizing you cannot protect yourself from yourself, that your emotions are not subordinate, that grief, anger, loss are not inconvenient distractions, they are forces, dangerous, elemental, uncontainable, and yet you are still here. The silent breakdown does not come with sound. It comes with stillness, with trembling silence, with the recognition that for decades you have lived with this weight, and why? You have learned to carry it quietly. But sometimes quietly is not enough. Sometimes it leaks, sometimes it surfaces, and you cannot stop it. Do you feel that ache in your chest, that emptiness that threatens to hollow you from within? That is not weakness, that is not failure, that is truth. The truth of what you have endured, the truth of the unseen battles, the truth of the nights you survived when the world was asleep and indifferent. And in this silence, in this private, unbearable descent, something happens, not externally, not visibly, but internally. Something shifts. Your walls, your masks, your carefully arranged facades begin to crumble, slowly, relentlessly, unstoppably. You may try to steady yourself, to remind yourself that you are strong, that you are capable, but the breakdown does not care for your rationalizations. It does not negotiate. It only demands acknowledgement. It forces you to witness the parts of yourself you have hidden, the rage, the despair, the emptiness, the longing, and as you witness it, as you sit with it, as it moves through you like water through stone, you begin to understand something you have always known but never fully faced. Your emotions are not gentle. They are dangerous. They are power, and they have shaped you, whether you noticed or not. There is beauty here, if you can call it that, but it is the beauty of truth, not comfort. It is the rawness of survival, the quiet strength that exists only when the masks fall away. The tears, the tremors, the silent collapse, all of it is proof. Proof that you exist fully, dangerously, and unflinchingly in the dark. And now you sit, alone, trembling, aware. Your emotions still move through you like slow-burning fire. Your mind watches, unflinching. The silence is complete. You are raw, exposed, awake. And perhaps that is the point. Not relief, not escape, not understanding, only acknowledgement, only presence. Only the dangerous, unshakable awareness of what it means to carry your own depth, your own darkness, without anyone to hold you, without any comfort to cling to. And in this acknowledgement, in this slow, shivering, quiet surrender to what you feel, you begin to see, not victory, not clarity, but the first glimpse of something beneath the ache, something that has waited patiently in the depths of your suffering, something that is yours entirely, and now you see it, not the part of yourself the world applauds, not the version you show to friends, family, strangers, but the parts you have hidden, the parts you have buried deep in the corners of your mind where no one could reach. Do you recognize them? The anger that flares without reason, the jealousy that creeps quietly uninvited into your thoughts, the envy that you pretend does not exist, the shame, the guilt, the self-loathing you try to ignore. They are all there, watching, waiting, patient. This is your shadow, and it is not evil, it is not punishment, it is truth, the truth of who you are, beneath all the masks, beneath all the social niceties, beneath all the careful arrangements you have made to survive. It is the raw, unfiltered self that has always existed, silently shaping your decisions, your fears, your desires. And yet, it terrifies you, not because it is malevolent, but because it is undeniable, because it cannot be hidden, because it exposes the lies you have told yourself, the illusions of control, the fragile sense of identity you cling to in the daylight, and in that exposure, you feel both fear and fascination. Have you noticed how the shadow knows everything? It knows the moments you were dishonest, even to yourself. It knows the times you gave in to fear, to weakness, to temptation. It knows the thoughts you never speak aloud, and it does not judge. It merely exists, and its existence forces you to confront yourself fully without escape. And as you confront it, as you look into the darkness you have carried for years, something begins to stir. Not relief, not comfort, but awareness, a quiet, cold understanding that the parts of yourself you feared the most are not separate from you. They are you. They are your power. The rage you deny, the envy you hide, the shame you suppress. These are not weaknesses. They are currents of energy, waiting to be understood, to be seen, to be acknowledged. They shape your decisions, your perceptions, your life, whether you admit it or not. And now, in this quiet confrontation, you can see Toy. Hem clearly. Do not be afraid of the shadow. It does not want to destroy you. It does not want to punish you. It wants recognition. It wants truth. It wants you to see that the parts of yourself you have rejected, you cannot reject forever. They will return, quietly, persistently, in your thoughts, in your dreams, in your moments of silence. And if you refuse them, they become more dangerous. Do you feel that danger now, the tension rising in your chest? That is the shadow speaking. That is the energy of the self you have denied, reminding you that you are whole. Only when all of you is acknowledged, and slowly, imperceptibly, a shift occurs. The fear begins to intertwine with fascination. The anger softens into understanding. The shame dissolves into awareness. You begin to see patterns, motivations, connections, the ways in which your shadow has guided you, protected you, shaped you in silence. And there is a strange, unsettling clarity in this. You are not separate from your darkness. You are not stronger than it. You are inseparable. And in that inseparability, there is potential, a quiet, dangerous, patient power, not the kind that shouts, not the kind that seeks approval, but the kind that waits within you always. The shadow is not your enemy. It is the part of yourself that has survived when all else was stripped away. It is the part that endures when the world does not notice, when the lights go out, when the applause fades, when everything else falls away. And now, it waits for your attention. Do you dare look closer? Because in the depth of this shadow, you will find yourself, not as you wish to be, not as you hope to be, but as you are, fully, dangerously, uncomfortably, and perhaps that is the first step toward what comes next, not with fireworks, not with noise, not with relief, but with quiet distance. You notice it first in small ways, the voices that once demanded your attention, the opinions, the judgments, the constant expectations, begin to fade into the background. The praise that once thrilled you, the criticism that once crushed you, they no longer hold the same power. They touch you briefly, and past you begin to observe. The world moves as it always does. People rush, shout, demand, and perform. And you stand still, quietly, watching, not indifferent, not apathetic, but aware, detached, measuring without clinging, feeling without reacting. And it is uncomfortable, isn't it? Because this detachment is not gentle. It feels strange, alien. It isolates. It whispers you are no longer the one you were. You cannot depend on what once comforted you. You must rely on yourself. But in this discomfort, there is clarity. You begin to see your emotions for what they truly are. Not weak or fragile, not problems to be fixed, but currents of energy, dangerous, raw, powerful, and you watch them rise and fall. You feel the ache, the rage, the fear, the longing, and you do not flinch, you do not cling, you do not act. You simply observe. It is a strange and unsettling freedom, because for so long you were entangled with the expectations of others, with the noise of society, with your own illusions of what life should be. You fought to control it, to manage it, to survive within it. And yet, here, in this quiet detachment, you realize that survival was only the beginning. Now, You are learning to exist without attachment. The people you loved, the things you desired, the comforts you relied upon, they are no longer the measure of your world. You do not abandon them out of cruelty. You abandon them in order to see clearly, to feel clearly, to exist in your own presence, unmediated, unshadowed, unshaken. And in this distance, the truth becomes unavoidable. You have power you never acknowledged, not loud, not visible, not celebrated, but quiet, patient, relentless, like a current moving beneath the surface, shaping everything, unseen, unstoppable. It has always been there, but until now, you were too entangled to notice. Do you feel it now? That subtle shift in your chest, that cold awareness at the edges of your mind? That is the energy of detachment, the recognition that nothing outside of you defines you, that the world can move and it does not have the power to unmoor you. And yet, it is not comforting. This detachment is strange, disorienting. You may feel loss even as clarity grows. You may feel grief even as your strength begins to stir. You may feel uncertainty even as a subtle order begins to emerge within yourself. All of this is necessary, all of this is real, and all of this prepares you for what comes next. Because from detachment comes perspective. From perspective, see, Ohm's focus. From focus comes power, and you are beginning to notice that power quietly beneath the calm. Not in bursts, not in triumphs, not in recognition, but in the stillness, in the absence of need, in the patient understanding that you are enough, even when the world does not acknowledge it. This is the phase where you stop chasing, stop fearing, stop clinging. You watch the currents of your life, the tides of your emotions, the patterns of your mind. And you see them clearly, you see yourself clearly, and nothing can deceive you anymore. This detachment, this cold, unsettling clarity, is the soil from which your inner power will return. You are not yet triumphant, you are not yet whole, but you are awake, observant, present, and for the first time dangerously aware of the strength that has always been yours. And now you feel it, not a sudden rush, not a bright light or triumphant roar, but a shift, a subtle tightening in your chest, a calm, deliberate awareness that something has returned, something that has always been there, quietly waiting, patient, dormant. This is your power. It does not announce itself. It does not demand recognition. It simply exists, like the deep current beneath the surface of a river, invisible to those who look only at the waves. And yet, it moves everything, shaping your thoughts, your presence, your perception, shaping you. You feel it in the silence, in the stillness after the storm of your emotions, in the moments when you are alone with your shadow, alone with your grief, alone with the truth of yourself. It is cold, it is patient, it is deliberate, and it is yours. Do you notice how different it feels from what you imagined strength to be? It is not loud, it does not shout, it does not seek applause. It is not the clumsy kind of power that dominates or demands. No. This is the quiet authority of someone who has survived, who has endured the depths of themselves and the indifference of the world, who has observed their emotions without flinching, without clinging, without fear. This is what remains when all illusions are stripped away. And now, you begin to move differently, not visibly, not dramatically, but subtly. Your mind measures more carefully. Your heart beats with awareness rather than reaction. Your decisions are no longer dictated by need, by fear, by desire for approval. They are informed by presence, by knowledge, by the quiet understanding of the depths you have traversed. You feel a strange confidence, not the warmth of comfort, not the surge of pride, but the precision of awareness. The sharp, cold clarity that comes from knowing who you are, in totality, and that nothing outside of you can touch that. And yet, it is unsettling, because power, in this form, is not gentle. It does not soften reality. It does not lie to comfort you. It simply exists. And those who have not felt it may fear you, even unknowingly. You move through the world differently now. Calm, observant, deliberate, dangerous in ways that are invisible, quiet, unstoppable. Do you feel that? That low hum beneath your ribs? That awareness that nothing can unseat you from yourself? That is the return of authority. Not borrowed, not performed, not granted, but inherent, innate, absolute, and as you begin to recognize it, the world shifts subtly around you. Not because it must, but because you have shifted within. The currents that once pushed against you no longer move you. The voices that once dictated your choices now fade to background noise. You are anchored in yourself, cold, deliberate, unshakable. This awakening, it is not celebratory. It is not triumphant. It is dangerous, because it is honest, raw, quietly unstoppable. You are no longer the person who waited, the person who feared, the person who doubted. That version of yourself has dissolved in the confrontation with shadow, in the silent breakdown, in the cold detachment. And what remains is aware, patient, powerful. It will not announce itself. It will not prove itself. It simply moves, quietly, deliberately, waiting for no one, recognizing nothing but what is true. And now, perhaps you understand, the power that returns is not a gift. It is not a prize. It is the consequence of survival, of awareness, of unflinching confrontation with your own darkness. It is yours, entirely and entirely dangerous. And in that danger lies the awakening. And now you sit with it, not the chaos of the world, not the noise of others, not the illusions of hope or comfort, but with yourself, fully, unflinching, exposed, awake. You feel the shadow, the breakdown, the detachment, and the return of your inner power, all converging quietly inside you, and it is unsettling. It is unsettling because it does not soothe, it does not flatter, it does not promise. There is no warmth here, no applause, no reassurance. Only the quiet, cold recognition of what you have endured, of what you have survived, of what you have become. You notice now that life has not changed. The world still moves, the same faces, the same tasks, the same expectations. But you have changed, quietly, imperceptibly, dangerously. There is a stillness in this change, not the soft kind, not comforting, but the kind that shifts everything in subtle ways, the kind that makes you aware that you are no longer easily moved, no longer easily broken, no longer easily distracted from the truth of yourself. And that truth, it is unsettling, because it is vast, because it is dark, because it does not shrink for anyone. It is the sum of all your hidden emotions, all your silent battles, all your suppressed rage, grief, and longing. And it is yours entirely. No one else will ever see it. No one else will ever acknowledge it fully. And perhaps that is as it should be. Because the power you carry, the awareness you hold, it does not require recognition. It does not depend on applause. It exists quietly, coldly, irrevocably. Inside you. You may feel a shiver in your chest, a tremor in your mind. That is the lingering presence of what you have discovered. The subtle, undeniable tension of someone who has confronted their shadow, survived their breakdown, detached from illusions, and reclaimed what was always theirs. And you will carry this tension always. It will not leave. You cannot pretend it away. And yet, you will not fear it, because it is a part of you. Dangerous, yes, but real, unflinching, alive. You have awakened, quietly, coldly, deliberately. And now, even in stillness, even in silence, the world cannot touch the depth of your awareness. It moves around you, but it does not move you. And perhaps that is the final lesson. Not comfort, not victory, not clarity, but presence, absolute presence. So you sit, breathing, watching, feeling, aware, and in that awareness, you recognize it for what it is. The world is indifferent, life is fleeting. Nothing promises you safety or reward, and yet you endure, you exist, you are awake, and that in itself is your power.